The battle over a second black congressional district in Louisiana is not over. A 3-judge panel voted 2-1 to Trump appointees against using the map recently passed by the Louisiana legislature. Now, of course, that was passed after a different federal judge blocked the map in 2022. Now, again, this has been going on for quite some time. 12 self-described non-African American voters challenged this new district. The lawsuit said the districts amounted to unconstitutional racial gerrymandering and discriminated against white voters while putting together disparate areas of the state into one district. Now it's uncertain if this second district is going to be in place come November. Yep. And there we go. Jared Evans is a Senior Policy Counsel at the Legal Defense Fund. He joins us right now. I'm glad to have you on the show. So, okay, here's what's crazy. Y'all been in this lawsuit, it's been going back and forth. It goes all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says, gotta create a second district. All right, conservatives, Republicans try to get the Fifth Circuit to rule against it, try to get another crack of the apple. Doesn't work. Legislature got no choice. They redraw it, create a second district. Now all of a sudden, another lawsuit now claiming racial gerrymandering. Isn't this an attempt to try to restart the clock and to stop this from being created?
Well, good evening, Roland. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you again. Obviously, we are disappointed in the decision from yesterday. Our goal has always been to have a map in place with 2 black districts for 2024. And yesterday's ruling was on the map that the governor supported. This map was never our map. It was never the map that the Black Caucus had got behind. It wasn't the map that the civil rights community had supported. There are 7 different plans that we have submitted and socialized for the past 2 years. So, we're disappointed that there wasn't resolution from the court's ruling, that this will continue for another couple of months, we expect. But listen, we're taking a lot of positives from yesterday's ruling. First and foremost, it appears clear now to everyone that there must be a map in place for the 2 black districts. As you alluded to in your opening, the Supreme Court has said that, the district court has said that, and even this 3-judge panel from yesterday, they essentially just said that this particular map can't be used going forward. They didn't address the issue of whether there should be a second black district, because I think at this point, everyone who's involved in this process, the courts, the stakeholders, everyone kind of accepts that that's what's going to be the case.
So I was looking at, so first of all, for the audience, so what was this panel yesterday? Because, again, y'all been going back and forth with the Fifth Circuit. So who were these judges yesterday?
This was a 3-judge panel from the Western District of Louisiana. Anytime that you are litigating a constitutional issue or an issue related to the 14th Amendment, the plaintiffs, as they refer to themselves as non-African Americans, when they challenge this plan, they raise constitutional challenges. So from the bat, you get a 3-judge panel, which means that the only place you can appeal to after that is the Supreme Court. So these were 3 judges from the Western District of Louisiana.
Okay, so this ruling doesn't have to now go through the budget appeals court. The Supreme Court has to take it up.
We have appealed to the Supreme Court, yes. Today we filed our notice of appeal and a notice for an emergency stay with this court that we are asking the Supreme Court to allow SB 8 to go forward because Roland, the election's in 6 months. And right now, Louisiana is the only state in the country that does not have a congressional map. The legislature has passed 2 maps. The first one was the one that we challenged in court that continued to pack black voters in New Orleans and Baton Rouge into the same district, creating the most gerrymandered district in the country. 2 years ago, the district court struck that map down as a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And yesterday, the legislature, the court struck down SB 8, which was the legislature's attempt to comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act as a violation of the Constitution. So as of yesterday, Louisiana does not have a congressional map. And so we start the process on Monday of figuring out the remedial process. We'll be back in Shreveport to meet with those judges and the opposing counsel to figure out, what the process is going to be. But in the meantime, Roland, we're not taking our chances. It's time for the Supreme Court to weigh in. As you alluded to and went through in your opening, we've been going through this litigation for 2 full years now. And if you think back to when we started our census outreach and when the roadshow process started, it's been almost 3 years since we have been fighting for a congressional map with 2 black districts. So our clients are ready for resolution. Everyone is just kind of ready for finality. So it's time for the Supreme Court to step in, and we fully expect them to.
So this is Michael Lee with the Brennan Center posted these tweets earlier. So just correct me if I'm wrong, the pink area apparently is this is the map that Louisiana approved.
Yes, that's correct.
Now,
this map reflects the priorities of the governor,
right,
the majority,
of Republicans. So,
yes.
Anybody who's watching this, looking at this map, you will see how the other districts are picked. Essentially, they are connected. They are compacted. Now, the remedial map that was discussed, you see in the pink here. This actually makes a hell of a lot more sense because it's much more compacted. So explain to us, for people who don't do this every day, the difference between the two. And so the first one, this is the Republican map. They purposely are snaking through different areas to try to create this. Explain this.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain this one, Roland. But this is the map. Again, it reflects the political priorities of the legislature. Their goal was to get rid of Congressman Garrett Graves, who currently represents District 6 and has a majority white population. Based off of where black people are situated in the state, one district has to be based in New Orleans. That's District 2 in the green. And the other district, which is the one in dispute right now, that's the other district that's based in Baton Rouge. That's the pink. It can either be District 5 or District 6. And what the majority did is that they started it right there in East Baton Rouge Parish, went all the way up through the Acadiana region in Opelousas and St. Landry Parish. They got the black neighborhoods in Alexandria and Rapides, got all of Natchitoches Parish, my home parish, parts of DeSoto if you go towards the top, and then the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish, which is the predominantly black areas. Again, this is not our map. This is the map that the governor wanted because he wanted to punish his political rivals, and it is the map that he got the legislature to go along with.
So you have a map. You have a map here that literally snakes from, if you look at this here, from southern Louisiana through the middle of Louisiana, almost to northern Louisiana.
Almost to the Texas border.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah.
As opposed to a map that is a lot more, and so this was a mediation map. So number 2, and this is a remedial plan. I'm sorry. So this is what actually makes a lot more sense if you look at how the other districts are sort of created. They're connected.
Absolutely. This map is much more compact. These are shapes that we're used to seeing, rectangles and squares and ovals. These objects in this map, it makes a whole lot more sense to go directly north from Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish all the way up to the Delta along the Mississippi River and connect the black neighborhoods in Monroe and Alexandria. This map just makes a whole lot more sense to us.
So now, you filed your appeal. Look, the Supreme Court can take their sweet time. Now, Louisiana is claiming that the maps have got to be in place by May 15th. Let me remind people even how we got here. Early 2022, a judge ruled the map was unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said, because they have this so-called rule, freeze it in place because now the time, which is nonsense because Louisiana's primary is in August. They could have easily passed a new map in time for the 22 election, which means unconstitutional maps were used. So therefore, the Republicans had an extra representative from Louisiana because that 22 map was allowed to go forward. The Republicans have been trying to run the clock out because they want to keep that same map in place in 2024 because, and if they're successful, then that guarantees them another member of Congress as opposed to this new map, which basically will create a second Democratic district in Louisiana because of how black folks vote.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Roland. The Secretary of State has represented in court that May 15th is their deadline to have a map in place. That is their deadline. I fully expect that we're going to blow past that by at least a couple of weeks, if not a month or so, because the Supreme Court, they have to agree to take up the case, which we expect them to, and then there has to be briefing. But we fully expect by the end of June, we should know what kind of posture we're going to be in. And look, as you alluded to, Roland, it's always a roll of the dice with this Supreme Court. They can be very unpredictable. But we start this process going to the highest court optimistic because just last year in the Alabama case, they ruled in favor of black voters. They said that Section 2 is the law of the land and that race can be used in drawing maps. And the facts are so similar between Alabama and Louisiana. So we don't think that anything has substantively changed from last year to this year to a Supreme Court will all of a sudden say, oh, the Voting Rights Act isn't the law of the land, or oh, well, we're going to allow this other map to go forward. We're going to ask them to allow SB 8, which is the map that you have first on the screen, to go forward simply because it gives us what we originally sued for. Even though we don't like it, even though it's not a compact map, even though it doesn't pass the eyeball test, it is the priority of the legislature, and they have the sole authority. The Constitution of Louisiana gives the legislature the authority to pass a map. And look, if that's their map, if that's what they want, and it gives us what we want, even though we're not happy about it, even though we don't like it, we're going to take it because it is so important, Roland, to have a map in place for 2024. We cannot go through another election under an illegal and unlawful map. So we're going to ask the Supreme Court to lift the stay, to allow SB 8 to go forward for 2024, and then hopefully pick back up the fight in 2025 to see what the map is going to look like for 2026, which, by the way, is the same thing that we're doing in Alabama. We have a map in place with 2 black districts for this fall's elections in Alabama because the primaries were earlier. But the litigation picks right back up in January. We will be right back in the court to start the fight for 2026 in Alabama. And, if I had to bet, I'd say right now that's what the same thing is going to happen in Louisiana. The Supreme Court is going to give us this map, allow SB 8 to go forward, and then we'll start the full process to allow the experts to come in and testify to have a full trial on the merits for 2025.
Okay, well, we certainly, again, it's a lot of back and forth, and you got folks who don't want to take no for an answer, and so the legal battle continues. Jared, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me, Roland.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.